were to put yourself in Patrick Vieira's shoes, what are some of the challenges that he may have as a manager coming into this league, just knowing the dynamics of the roster, managing cap space, everything that goes along with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's made a lot of those statements. I mean, you have there's not a lot of flexibility in terms of roster once you put your group together, and sometimes when you're putting together a lot of new faces, you don't know exactly how they blend together or gel together as a group, and you don't really have necessarily the luxury that you would in an international club or a non-U.S. club to make the changes once you've got that group established, and it's much tougher to make those adaptations, and you have to bring your group along. You can't just go get another guy and put him on top of somebody who's not doing their job. You've got to find ways to bring that player along and have them be impactful to your team. So those are the challenges, and obviously with the salary cap, it is, especially when you look internationally, there's limitations in what players you can bring, because now you're working in an international market in terms of value. So those are all the situations. Everything else in the league is soccer, and it's the same everywhere you go. There's some challenges in terms of travel and that are a little bit different than maybe where he was from before in terms of distance and all that kind of stuff. But by and large, the game is the game, and he has his philosophy and strategy that he wants to put into his team, as we all do in our teams, and we all compete against each other at the end of the day.
They've had some roster turnover. They got more athletic. They got a little bit younger, but still some core pieces intact there. How do you anticipate that they'll come out on Sunday?
I mean, we've only seen them really in one game, so unless they make any drastic changes, I don't think it'll look entirely different from what they did last week. So for us, it's our emphasis and our focus is really, especially early in the season, is continuing on to build on what we've accomplished and what we've done and through preseason and this first game, and our emphasis on being good at the things that we need to be good at, and our identity and our philosophy of things. And so we're focusing on that. We've had one look at them, but I don't know that you can take too much out of one game, and so we'll go into this game focusing really on what we need to do.
It's a narrow pitch, as you well know.
Yes.
What do you have to? Does that change things up? Do you have to make adjustments?
I don't know that you make your adjustments. Is that you're probably just going to have a little bit less time with the field being small. People are a little bit closer together, so with people closer together, you have less time on the ball. Gaps are a little bit smaller. Space is a little bit tighter, so you have to be prepared to play a little bit quicker, to be a little more precise, things like that. So for us, those are the biggest adjustments. It's you just got to be used to the speed of the game now once we're there. So
Tactically, doesn't really change.
No, I mean tactically, we're not going to make any adjustments in the grand scheme of things. Again, as I was just saying, we just want to keep our identity, and we're early in the season. You gotta be who you are. You can't make too many moves to change things up. Every team is still trying to set in stone who they are right now.
They were pretty physical last year, especially in that 2-0 game here, where they kind of gave Seba a bit of a browbeating. I know it's a new manager, but do you expect a similar approach tomorrow?
I'm not sure. I think they'll come in with their own strategy on how to make it difficult on us, and probably difficult on Seba in some ways in particular. And I'm not sure what to expect. Again, we'll try to keep the ball moving as quickly as we can, and give Seba the best opportunities to be who he is, and the same thing goes for everybody else. But I'm not really sure in terms of a new manager what his role would be or what his philosophy would be on something like that.
Andrea Pirlo is kind of an interesting fit for the small pitch at Yankee Stadium. He seems to, well, as he always has, find that perfect pass. How do you deal with him? Do you stick somebody man on him all game, or do you just kind of go with the flow?
Yeah, I think it's. There's two approaches, right? And you can team defend and make sure that everybody's aware of their responsibility, and you're taking care of all the guys around the field, or you can really just commit certain guys to certain players or to a certain player. I think what's important is that we team defend, and we know when we're conscientious of everyone on the field. They have some players who can hurt you, whether with pace, with craft, with technique. So for us, it's making sure that we are, from a collective team standpoint, that we're defending well. We build off of some of the things that we did in the first game, and we continue to grow in that way.
Josie was working out on his own today. What's his status for Sunday?
He's still very questionable. We've gotten him up to pace, so over tomorrow we'll find out if he's even going to be available for any spot minutes. I mean, he's not ready for 90 minutes. We'll know by the end of tomorrow, maybe even by the end of today, whether we can even consider him as a bench guy or somebody who can come off the bench.
More likely next week?
Yeah, more likely next week. He'll be into full everything next week in terms of preparation. This week, the question is, can he be a factor at all?
Is there any concern, Greg, about, because he came into camp, I thought he looked really fit, and we talked about his diet and how he changed stuff up. He looked really fit, but he has sort of had these injury issues before. Is there any sort of concern about his durability this year?
No, this one for me was more of in preseason when you turn around quickly, you play games, and then you try to play another game, and it's trying to get everybody on the same page. And even though we weren't, we were kind of adjusting minutes along the way. It was the fact that we had 2 games in a very short period of time. We had a 90-minute game in what was very warm weather, and he put in a lot into that game. And then to try to get the team ready for another game that was coming quickly, we got them out, and it was just a one-off scenario, in my opinion. We've recognized too between us that let's give him a couple more hours, if you will, to make sure he recovers and we get all of that. I don't think it's a durability thing. I think it's finding the right formula for each guy to make sure that we keep them healthy in terms of recovery, rest, training, all of those kinds of things. And the same is for Josie in that aspect. It's for all of them. It's for every one of our guys.